Good evening, everybody. We had a brief non-public with the Building and Code Enforcement Department, and over some issues with them and some cases going on in town. At this point, we will now start the public session with the Pledge of Allegiance. Everybody please rise. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item will be public comment.
Hey.
Oh, excuse me. Before we start with that, I want to have a quick moment of silence for two of our citizens that just departed. One of them was Esther Mary Hadley, who was also the holder of the Boston Post-Cane. She just passed away. And also former moderator John Foss passed away on yesterday. We'll have a moment of silence and send out our condolences to their families. Thank you. Okay, now public comment.
Frank Campana. I think according to your schedule tonight, you're going to go through a final review or a review of the budgets. I happened to sit through one of the presentations, and there was a line added for what my opinion, would be a capital expenditure. So I'm not looking for a response from the selectmen tonight, but I'd like to know either collectively or individually what your definition is of a capital expenditure. I was forwarded a copy of this year's capital improvements plan, and I happened to listen to a little bit of the presentation. So it's been my understanding over the years, and I know that there may be a new way of doing business, but it's been my opinion, again, that capital expenditure, I'll give you a definition. Funds expended for additions or improvements to plant or equipment. That's out of the dictionary, that's not from the town of Ware. So I guess that was my definition of capital improvement. And looking at this year's summary or presentation, the Highway Department has four different requests. Fire Department has one. Board of Selectmen have a couple of requests, and it can vary from anything from I'll use the highway, a trash trailer to air conditioning in the library. And I know some of these things may have changed, okay, but I'm just from back then. And a communication study. So it doesn't necessarily have to be something that has tires on it. It can be, anything else. But this particular department has a line in there for a vehicle. Well, I would like the selectmen to seriously consider, if that line is adopted by you folks, then do you start cherry picking? What will go on separate warrant articles has been history of the town, or in budgets. It should be consistent. I've said this before anyway. It should be consistent. And in that consistency, by having individual articles for capital improvements, you truly give the taxpayer a chance to have a voice on how they spend their money, or don't spend their money, either way. And I'll use this word kind of gingerly. I don't think it's appropriate to hide what I would consider, or well, I can't say for your definition of a capital improvement, but my definition of a capital improvement, I don't think it's correct to try to hide something in a budget. And I think that's it, and I appreciate that.
Thank you, Frank.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else for public comment? Okay, next item is department heads and committee items. Any of the department heads that are here, which...
I think
two?
both department heads that are here are just here in case
Of
you
the
had
budget.
questions or
Yep.
something, so we can try to
Okay.
finalize the budget tonight.
Okay, so the next item is the final budget draft. Discussion. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Beth Rouse, Finance Administrator. Okay, the large pie chart that you received tonight is just a summary of where the proposed budget increases by department is. Right, it's just to let you know if you want to go to a specific department quickly, or you just want to see where the big proposed changes are for this year. On the summary sheet, which is the one page, we can review that first. And this is your summary versus your default. So for the general government, which includes the 15 departments underneath it, the proposed is going to be $1,067,882. The default was $1,055,525. That's a difference of $12,357 being proposed, which is a 1.17% increase over the default. Sorry. The insurances, which you go down to the next gray line, is a $17,022 increase over the default. The police department, they have a $52,718 increase from the proposed versus the default. The fire department's coming in at 0. Their proposed equals their default. And other public safety, which includes the 4 departments underneath that, is a $4,834 increase. Highway department is proposing a $22,425 increase over the default. The other public works department, which is the 4 departments underneath that, is requesting a $28,867 increase. Animal control is a $758 increase. Health is coming at a 0. Welfare is coming in at 0. Parks and Rec is requesting a $1,550 increase. Library is requesting a $3,318 increase. No increase for patriotic purposes. A $62 increase for conservation, and no change for economic development or debt service. So the proposed increase is $143,911, which is 2.05% over default. And the pie chart down below just shows you over the whole budget where your money is being spent. So now we go into the detail. Where would you like to start? Is there any departments you want to look at? Have you thought about changes? now that you've seen it in its entirety. You've heard from the large department heads, you've heard from myself and the small department heads.
Beth, does the police department increase, the 24%, is that for the vehicle? Is that where that's driving?
No, there is no vehicle in the proposed budget.
All right.
If you want to go to the police department's budget, they start on page 6. And with the police department's budget, you will probably remember, they had a $78,000 contract that expired. So the expired contract is not in the default because it expired. However, he reallocated that $78,000 to cover the expenses that he has. So instead of seeing a $78,000 decrease, you're seeing that money being allocated to different lines. Oh, wicked hot in here. All right, since there's no comment, I guess we'll just start at the front. Do you propose any changes to the town officers' salaries department? Ricky says yes. Okay, so that's gonna go on the warrant with a 21,894 proposed allocation. Okay, town officers. The proposed budget is $40,755. That's an increase of $1,000 because I requested that we have a computer equipment line. Would you like to see $40,755 go to the warrant?
Yep.
Elections, there was a $50 increase because of the contract price. Is it okay to put $8,650 towards the warrant?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, tax collector, $235 increase. That's because you'll notice in here, a lot of the computer support is increased because last year we had a default. So now you're gonna see twice as much because we didn't get our proposed budget last year. So you'll see that throughout the budget. So the tax collector's proposed budget is $67,876. Is it okay to put that right to the warrant?
Yeah.
Okay, assessing has an increase of $1,000. That's because she would like to add we discussed this last time, the deeds to the parcel cards.
Yep.
And then there's some other small increases due to training and dues. Is it okay to bring forward $162,217 to the warrant?
Can we go back,
Yep.
please, to the tax collector?
Sure.
I just want to make a note of something.
Yep.
So when we say $235 increase,
Okay,
that is over the 2021 default budget. Am I correct in saying
Yes,
that?
that's correct,
But in actuality, from the 2020 approved budget,
which
The
matches the
the-
default.
It's less.
correct, the 2020 approved budget, because of position change, the actual tax collector budget is down $18,459.
That is the default budget. The default budget is down over the approved as well as the proposed, yes.
Correct.
Yep.
But this is what I'm trying, the 2020 approved budget was $80,835.
Correct,
Because of a staffing change, the 2021 default budget is $67,641.
Yep.
So actually, between 2020 and 2021, there's been a substantial decrease in that
Correct.
department.
correct.
I just want that stated.
Oh, okay, yep. So when we reviewed the default, we noticed all those large changes, either up or down.
Right, but it wasn't noted tonight,
Correct.
and that's just what I wanted to
Okay.
know.
So, all right. So with the legal expenses, I did make the change that you guys proposed last week. So that department is going to go to the warrant at $60,000, is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. For the finance administrator's budget, that is being increased over the default by $16,254. That was based mostly on the BOS pay increase in 2019, plus the New Hampshire retirement system increases. And then, again, the software support We didn't get the proposed budget last year, so the increase in the software support's usually double what it usually normally is. Is it okay to put the 110,244 to the warrant?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, the town clerk budget is being proposed by $471 over the default. That is, she needs a second telephone line in her office. There's been an increase in fees to the safety deposit box, an increase to the postage because of, online renewals, and a decrease for books and updates because of the online information. Is it okay to move $143,341 to the warrant?
Yes.
Selectmen's office, there's a small increase of $330. That is because we potentially could be going to a new auditor, and their contract price was $15,225, which is $225 over the current auditor. $105 increase for the website hosting, because that is the actual cost. So the total proposed budget is $197,128. Is that okay to move it to the warrant?
Yes.
Cable committee, they are not requesting any proposed increases. Is it okay to move $1,092 to the warrant?
Yes.
Trustees are not requesting any increases to the proposed budget, so $150 to the warrant.
Yep.
Land use, there is a $485 increase. That's because mostly due to recording fees and the dues, which is an actual cost. Their proposed budget is $71,603. Is that okay to go to the warrant? Any questions so far? No? Okay. Okay, government buildings. There was a lot of changes to government buildings. Usually it's just based on the usage of heat and electricity. So we are requesting a decrease in that budget by $5,525. So the proposed budget's gonna be $137,896. Is that okay to send that amount to the warrant?
Yep.
No, it's all right. Cemetery is not proposing any changes, so we'll be sending $36,310 to the warrant. Insurances, those went up $17,022. Those are gonna be the actual cost for insurances next year in 2021. Is it okay to propose $493,834 to the warrant? Questions on that? Okay. Advertising, the dues for the New Hampshire Municipal Association increased by $57. So we're gonna send $8,726 to the warrant. And the police department. Right on the last. There's a $52,718 increase over the proposed. Is it okay to send $1,750,171 to the warrant? I just want to note, due to the public comment, that you'll notice that line 282, vehicle management, there is no lot number in that line.
282.
It was something he would like you to consider for future, to put that in the proposed, but he's not proposing anything this year. Okay, so is it okay to move the $1,750,171 to the warrant? We'll wait.
Underline, Excel line 266, police supplies.
Correct.
Reason for increase, patrol PC, shouldn't that be under, where did it go? Computer hardware software, line 270?
No, because Patrol PC is the tablets and the cruisers, their supplies.
That's computer hardware.
I don't know why he.
Yeah, I thought we talked about moving those other lines.
You did move the body worn camera, and, let me go back and make a note of that. So the body worn camera, me and the chief had a conversation, you guys wanted the body worn cameras in with the body worn camera contract.
Correct.
I said no to that, only because the contract is a default number. So you don't really want to put equipment into a contract line, because then whoever is looking at this next year or the year after or whatever, they need to know that they're separate things. One's a contract, one's an equipment. One's defaultable, the other is not. So you'll notice that there's line 269, which is the contract, and then we did the 270A. I'll move them when we do it eventually, but that's the actual equipment. And then when it comes to the tasers,
That went to the taser line?
yeah,
Or no?
so we had the contract and then we have the equipment. So you have, yeah, the taser's equipment and then you have the taser's contract. One's defaultable, one is not. So we put them next to each other so that you could quickly add them together. But the PC patrol, I did not. I mean, we can move that amount if you'd like.
And what is body bunker? Is that,
Body bunker is the shield that they, and there's only one.
Wouldn't it,
I want to say SWAT team shield, that's in my mind, but I know that's really not.
No,
Yeah, they hold in front of them.
it's a protective shield
Thank
for
you.
entering into buildings in certain situations.
wouldn't that belong under ballistic equipment, line XL 289?
that's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah, because it would go in the cars, so it'd be under, I would think it'd be under police supplies.
Police supplies is a very vague,
Yeah.
broad topic.
But I don't think it would be considered a body vest or a protective
Well, it's-
vest.
Because of his life cycle management, he wants to get that supply line to be able to cover the management of the life cycle of the equipment, because not all of it's gonna expire in 1 year, so that line needs to have enough to revolve with the cycle.
I think it's too vague to have those types of items just under, just a bare supplies, but
That's my feeling as well.
the dollar value is not gonna change, it's just the categorizing of those particular notes. I'm not looking to increase or decrease the lines,
No.
just move things around, that's just my opinion.
Correct. I'm in the same boat.
So you want the patrol PC and the body bunker just moved to different lines. Dollar stays the same, but
Just for clarity, I think that's where I'd like it to be.
Have to break it out because of what each one costs and put it down to that line, because you still have handgun listed in that line.
so the patrol PC he has at $6,000. And then the ballistic bunker, again, it's his life cycle. It's one at $3,000 every 5 years.
So that's 9,000 out of that.
So it went up though, that line went up 10,600, correct?
Yep, the patrol PC was $6,000. The handgun or the weapon transition is two at $800. Again, this is all on his life cycle, so that has a 7-year life cycle. And his ballistic bunker is one at $3,000, and that's on a 5-year life cycle. So he wants to get that supply line because some things are on a 5-year life cycle, some's on a 7. So as long as he has that supply line, he could do the bunker this year, the handgun the next year, you know.
So you'd move the 6,000 down to line 270.
Yep, and the 3 down to 289.
So that would,
So we'll only be increasing that line by $1,600.
Yep. that's satisfactory?
Again, I'm not looking for a dollar change, just for,
Right, just for,
clarity.
yeah, tracking, I think.
Okay.
Line two, Excel 235.
Yes, police-time, full-time officers.
So the notes, it says warrant article 5 and the BOS pay increase.
Okay, the notes are really for when we did the default budget. So the default budget was increased because of warrant article 5, which was the adoption of CBA.
Collective bargaining, yeah.
Okay, and then the Board of Selectmen, so the proposed increase, that 18,376, is just the increases that were given mid-year and the promotion.
Okay.
Side of the CBA. John, Sherry, you guys okay?
Yeah. Yeah, well,
Okay. So, we're gonna move $1,750,171 to the warrant. Okay, emergency management, there is no increase, so the proposed budget matches the default at $4,679. Okay to send that to the warrant?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, fire department, when it's all said and done, there is no proposed increases. The proposed budget is $927,494, same as the default. Move that to the warrant.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, code enforcement, I did make those changes. We are taking the full-time code enforcement officer out of the proposed, making a separate warrant article. So, okay, so that, for the proposed budget portion of it, that budget went up $131. That was due mostly to the computer support. And we needed some ink for the wide format printer. And then there were some decreases, fuel and office supplies. So that budget is $45,066. Is that okay to send that to the warrant?
Yes.
Okay. Forest fires, there was a large increase, well, percentage-wise. You requested an increase, and I added the stipend line for the forest fire warden. So the proposed budget is gonna be $8,530, which is $3,703 higher than default. Is it okay to send it to the warrant like that?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Highway Department is requesting a $22,425 increase. So they are requesting $1,540,489. Is it okay to send that to the warrant, or do you wanna look at that? I got one nod.
Yep.
Two nods.
I know.
Oh, that matters.
I don't think he's wrong. Yeah. Depends on the, depends on the day.
Benji, are we due to start tipping some salt?
Yes.
Okay. I figure as much.
We probably just did,
Did it?
this weekend.
No, like
Purchasing
actually
and
purchasing
billing
it. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and I bought a pile of tires. Where I got my old-
Okay. I figured. I just wanted to make sure.
Any other questions on the highway department's budget? And if it's okay, we'll send $1,540,489 to the warrant. Check, check. Yep. Street lighting, we're proposing a decrease, based on what we're spending now, the actual cost. So we're proposing $4,908. Is it okay to send that to the warrant?
Yep.
Yep.
Transfer station. Transfer station is requesting a $29,392 increase over the proposed, or default budget. So their proposed budget is $452,757. Just to let you know, if the proposed budget passes, the nights at the transfer station are in here. So
Oh, yeah, that's, yeah.
by accepting the proposed budget, you're accepting that'll be open Wednesday nights? Or Tuesday nights?
We'll discuss it. I think you did Tuesday.
I think you did Tuesday this year, too. so.
If you don't get it proposed, Benji, will you still be able to have the transfer station open in the evenings?
Well, it takes part-time hours to do that.
Okay.
I'm overspent on my budget and transfer station this year
Because of that.
well,
Ooh.
Yep. Okay.
COVID hit transfer station hard this year.
Yeah.
Okay, no discussion, so we're gonna move $452,757 to the warrant.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Sewer, although that is not a town-wide tax-based department, there are a few that do pay for it. We do get reimbursed. So that department is actually being decreased by $33. So is it okay to send $16,305 to the warrant?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Water, they're proposing no change in water, so is it okay to send $3,520? Quick. Animal control, spoke with the chief, and he has decreased the hours per week that this was budgeted for. So it was budgeted for 30 hours a week, now it's down to 15.
Did he give an explanation as to why?
Only because it'll never, over the whole course of the year, she'll never do that many hours. She's doing roughly between, well, not now, doing roughly between 5 and 11 hours a week now. So she'll never reach 15 plus 15 on a normal basis. However, that budget was still increased by $758 because of the professional services, a little offsetting because of the electricity and meetings and seminars, an increase in the printing, a decrease in the supplies, and an increase in the fuel now that they have a vehicle. So he is proposing $16,674. Is that okay to send that to the warrant?
Yep.
Health Department proposing no increase, so $5,392 is gonna go to the warrant. Nods all the way around.
Yep.
Welfare, proposing no increase to that department over the default, so $27,449.
Yep.
Okay, so Parks and Recs, they have a $1,550 increase, for the printing, the outside services, which is the rental of the porta potties, and supplies. Is it okay if we send $54,601?
Yep.
Okay, you'll also see a separate warrant article for their wage increase that they requested. Okay. Library, they're requesting a $3,318 increase over the default budget. That was due to the hourly wages. Is it okay to send $258,574 to the warrant?
Yep.
Patriotic purposes, there is no change, so we'll send $500 to the warrant.
Yep.
Conservation, an increase in their dues, so we're requesting $1,651 to be proposed.
Yep.
Economic development, no change, is it okay to send that?
Yep.
Gonna argue over the dollar. Ambulance, we are requesting a $1,000 increase for the ambulance billing fees, up to $10,000. Again, we'll have the matching revenue on the revenue side for that.
So that's really a wash.
It's absolutely a wash.
Yep.
Does not come out of taxation. The only reason why we have to put it in the budget is in case something happens and there is no money to pay for the billing, we have to pay for it. And the debt service, there is no increase over the default, so our debt service for 2021 is gonna be $462,996. So, okay, well, send that to the clerk, gonna have to. And no capital outlay, we have no leases currently. So our total proposed operating budget is gonna be $7,153,503, or 2.05% over default. Any questions?
Nope.
About your budget? Gonna defend it?
Thank you.
Defend it. Fight for it.
So, to wrap us into the next one, we had to do this before we could do the next one, because you just have 2 pages blank without having this done for your warrants.
Yeah.
So we are not gonna have a warrant discussion tonight, because it would look holes, a lot of empty spots. Plus, I haven't heard back from the library and some other things, so we're waiting on those. So next week we'll go to, but we shouldn't have a lot of warrant articles. But I do have, while we have Beth and Chief Azina here, are you all done with this? Are we done with this? Okay. About a purchase for the end of the year purchase. Chief Azina has a request for a purchase. Basically, I'll let him discuss it, but there's also a reimbursement that would go with it from FEMA for his purchase. But I think the FEMA comes later for the reimbursement. So if you don't mind, I'd like to have Bob discuss that. It would come out of what we talked about last week with the end of year money. But there is a reimbursement that's due back. I think it may not hit 20. It'll probably hit 21, so. But I'll let him go with that.
So you may or may not recall, earlier this year, we had applied for, through FEMA Assistance to Firefighter Grant, we had applied to replace our cots on the ambulances. We were unsuccessful in that, through that program. So as, COVID kind of came along and funding sources started to present themselves to assist communities in dealing with the COVID pandemic, one of the things that we noticed late in the year, it's really just been in the last month or so, was that we had the ability perhaps to leverage FEMA funds to accomplish that, replacing the cots. FEMA was approached by Beth and pitched the concept of whether or not that was something that they were agreeable to. They said yes. We're not committed to anything, but just in the conversation, they were agreeable to that. That picked up 75% of the cost of the cot, combined with Gopher. So Gopher funds run out at the end of the year. So we have, whatever that is, 4 more weeks. Gopher would pick up the other 25%. So the net to the town would be 0% to replace the cots on the ambulance. It's just the cots, it's not the loading system, because you may have seen that through the earlier presentation of the CIP. That was something that we were looking at early on in the CIP process and had pulled that back. Not because of this reason, but after that, we discovered that this was an opportunity that we could take advantage of, and I think the savings to the community is substantial. So,
Would these new proposed cots be able to use the load lift system?
yes.
It would be, okay.
Yep, so with that in mind, right, so we had looked at, is there a way that perhaps, because we have one cot that's really at the end of its useful life, was if we went forward with this, were we would we need to change horses in midstream later on? And the answer is no, these would be compatible with the new system. So that was a win as well. Beth could speak to more of the funding source for sure, but this is the opportunity that presented itself, and so I present it to you as something at the end of the year that, you know, if you were agreeable, I think there's a substantial savings to the community.
Is this for 1 or 2 cots, chief? This particular?
Ideally, 2. We approached them with 1, and so we had reached back out to them to say, as it really kind of became clear that this was something that was doable, was they were agreeable to 1. The justification for 2 is that when we transport someone who is COVID positive, the downtime of cleaning that ambulance and decontaminating it, we still need to provide service, and that's where the second ambulance comes in. Maybe this just happened this past weekend. We had a patient who caused us to put the ambulance out of service. So that's the justification of it.
What's the cost if we actually had to pay for these costs? What would be the cost to the town, either to the fire department or, I was just curious.
Yeah, and so these are, I mean, this is a piece of equipment we use every day.
Right.
And the cost for these they're 18 grand a piece.
Wow.
So
Are these considered bariatric or not?
they have, I want to say it's 700 pound, 750 maybe, which is more than the ones that we have now. And there are times, unfortunately, that's a consideration.
Yep. The stretchers we have now, they are not power?
No, they are power. They are made by Furno. Years and years ago, when we got them, we were able to, the Furno came forward with, we were all set to head in the Striker for 1. Furno came in and pitched us that they would provide 2 for the cost of 1. Which has worked out great for us. I mean, our big issue is we are unable to put 4, 5, 6 people on a call, really,
Yep.
to help lift someone like, that's extremely heavy. So this gives us the ability to take a lot of that risk out of getting someone in the back of the ambulance without hurting.
Less chance of injuries.
Yep.
Yep.
This has kind of been the industry standard for, I mean, I was still in the fire truck when we got them, so probably 20 years now.
Yep.
Yeah.
How much is the load lift system?
So the load lift system adds, you have to help me out here.
52 altogether.
There was 52 together, so let's say it's 30-ish on its own. And then, so, you know, looking forward to that ambulance replacement program is that we could order a new ambulance with the lift system built into it and then recycle these units into that. I want to say we have an ambulance out, like, 2 years. So,
Sounds right, 2 years.
yeah. For your consideration.
So what do we,
Yeah.
chief, what do we have to put out initially?
So we would have to pay for the whole thing. Correct me if I'm wrong. So we would front the money for the whole thing with reimbursement coming from those 2 sources.
Is it
As Naomi
guaranteed?
said, that FEMA could lag. I don't know what the time is for them to.
Is it a guarantee we're gonna be reimbursed, or is it just a hope?
No, it'd be guaranteed.
It's
Okay.
pre-approved.
Okay.
Yep.
What's the board's feel?
I'm for it.
For it?
What?
Move to approve the,
What's that? Go ahead, Rick.
I'll move to approve the chief to spend the money to purchase the Stryker stretcher, 2 Stryker stretchers, with reimbursement coming from FEMA in the CARES Act.
Second.
Gopher, I'm sorry.
Second. All those in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, chief.
I think that's, that kind of concludes, like I said, the 2021 draft warrant. I guess I'd kind of hope to be a little bit faster ahead, but in looking at it, 2 pages were blank and there was a lot of blanks, so just a waste, and then somebody will have the wrong one, and we still have a lot of unknowns, so I just think if we can put out the cleanest copy we can the first time around. So the hope would be next week that we could, look at them and finalize them, because Wednesday, we're gonna make a trip to the Finance Committee, and the hope there is, even if the exact wording's not been done, we would at least have our articles to say this is what we want, plus Conservation's meeting on Wednesday to finalize theirs, so I didn't look too far ahead with the calendar. So the warrant, we're not gonna discuss tonight, but I don't know if there's anybody else has anything. Benji? Bob's all set?
Anything from the finance committee?
I guess I recognize Finance
Oh,
Committee.
okay, sorry.
Anything from finance? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and the next item on the agenda
The
will
manifest.
be
Thank
the
you, folks.
manifest.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you. Thanks, chief.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, it was a lot.
Wendy had a lot. There's there 3 on all of Wendy's? Okay. Thank you, Beth.
Okay, the next item will be the manifest. To order the treasurer to sign the payroll and accounts payable checks dated December 10th, 2020, as included in the following manifest. Payroll manifest for $64,344.86. That's the weekly payroll. Accounts payable manifest for $88,523.40. John Stark accounts payable manifest for $500,000. And the Ware School accounts payable manifest for $1,050,000. And for a grand total of $1,702,868.26. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There you go.
You have 2 sets of minutes?
Next one is the minutes.
I haven't read them now.
We get the minutes for 11:23. Okay. Anything on page 1?
Under public, the paragraph under public comment starting Kevin Towns. I don't think North Sugar Hill Road is the actual name of it. It just ought to be Sugar Hill.
Sugar Hill, well, it used to be Sugar Hill North.
Sugar Hill North is what it used to be.
Yeah, I think it's just the official, the name on the thing is just Sugar Hill now.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yep.
So what are they doing with Sugar Hill South?
That's still South Sugar Hill.
All right.
Yep.
Okay. Page 2. Page 3.
Yeah, under, just above the manifest where it says Selectman Van asked about hot packs versus cold packs. DPW Director Nat stated brand new is expensive. I'd like to put brand new equipment is expensive.
Yeah, asphalt equipment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else on page 3? Page 4. Page 5.
Move to approve as amended.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next set will be 11:30. Page 1.
Last paragraph, explaining the findings of Ware Police Chief Sean Kelly. I'd like to insert the word former somewhere in there,
Yeah, former,
Yep.
no.
or past, or something in the
Probably
past tense.
former, I'd say former.
Former Ware Police Chief.
Anything else on page 1? Page 2,
Same comment under the top line,
top line.
Yes, I would agree.
and anywhere else Chief Kelly may show up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
which paragraph did you say?
The very top
Top, the
one.
very
Yeah,
top.
it says
Oh,
at this,
yeah.
at this time.
Sorry.
And then anywhere else it may show up.
And let's see. Third paragraph from the bottom on page 2. Brad Guyman, 59 Hoyt Mill, stated he is a Marine, it should be capital.
What?
Top line,
Top line, Brad Guyman, 56 Hoyt Mill, stated he is a Marine, it should be a capital M. Page 3.
I know we talked about it, I briefly looking through this, I don't see where it's actually referenced, but petition warrant articles are non-binding, advisory only. I know we mentioned that, I don't quickly see it in here, though. I wanted to just make sure that's part of this subject. I believe Ricky brought that up.
Yep.
That would probably lay in
At the end of the paragraph, it says Police Chief Moore.
probably shortly after where,
Yeah, page
Says
8,
town administrator
page
will-
8 talks about it.
Oh, page 8
Page
does?
8 talks about noise discussion earlier.
Yeah.
Okay.
Says the board responded yes, making it clear petition articles not
Okay,
binding, rather
if it's
advisory.
referenced, that's fine, I
Okay,
just
so
wanna make
then
sure
I
it
guess
wasn't
we-
in that.
Yeah, she referenced the
So we're
prior
all set
conversation.
as
Okay.
far as that page then. Page 3 is all set, other than that? Okay, page 4. Page 5. Page 6. Page 7. And page 8. Move to accept the minutes of 11:30 as amended.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Administrators report.
Okay, I have, I gave you the brief one that I have, but I'm gonna pass down your way two of the tax deeds that we took for tax deeds. They've, residents have come back and paid them off, so now we're deeding them back.
perfect.
So I'm gonna send them down your way, just to show you the deed that we got, and then the deed that's going back. There's two of them, so I'll send them both that way. There's signatures for everybody on that line. There's still one that's out.
One that's out, did they contact you, they were gonna make payment?
No, we haven't had any connection with the one that we deeded to ourselves yet.
Okay.
Then, very quickly. Log up here, sorry. Like I said, there's really not a lot to change. Final budget presentation was tonight. We'll move forward with the warrant. Other than that, I don't have any other changes right now with that. What I do wanna just add to you is, so I had a conversation, I don't have any dates yet, I hoped to by today, but I didn't, in regards to Verizon. And I have not heard back from R&R on the map. I can keep asking.
Please do.
Okay. But as far as Verizon, they inquired about kind of like what we had from AT&T, and I just said that, you know, they gave us some phones to demo. They asked what we had for radios, and I said that we had Motorola's. So he wants to make sure the radio guys there to contact us will be on the phone with us as well. So all the parties weren't able to be pulled together. I'm, just from the little bit of conversation, I'm surmising that maybe he would, where we already have the Verizon phones, send over the radios to see if there would be any difference. I don't know. I don't really know what the demo's gonna look like, but before we demo, we'll talk, and that's where I explained to him that several other board members know way more than I do. So I can just tell them what we're looking for, and it's a system to augment what we have. And with that being said, Laura did reply back to me regarding the no means no. And I thought I printed out, but I didn't, I apologize. So she said, I wrote to her, and her, I asked if no meant no, basically for the mere fact of, I think you had raised a question, you guys had raised a question if the money was going into a capital reserve fund for the purpose of improvements. So I mentioned that to her, and she wrote back, because I asked her, the question was, does no means no? And could, you know, we just swap the phones to FirstNet without the radio piece, because we already have phones. I said that I don't think that follows to no means no. And then I said, I'm just wondering, you know, the article was written with going into being an improvement. Would somebody say that the FirstNet phones are an improvement? So she said to me, she said that basically she felt it was both meaning you could stipulate no means no, is, you know, because she said purpose means a goal or aim to be accomplished through the expenditure of public funds. In addition, is used in RSA 32:8 and RSA 32:10I small e concerning the limitation on expenditures. A line on the budget form posted on the warrant or form submitted to the Department of Revenue or an appropriation contained in a special warrant article shall be considered a single purpose. And then she said, but let me ask you, when the hearings were held on the article, were the, in quote, improvements, what were the improvements that were contemplated? Was it about cell phones, radios, towers, or all, both, or some?
It was unknown.
So I wrote back to her and said, at this, we didn't really know where we were headed.
Yeah, no specificity.
No specifications.
Because I said it was after the shooting, we know that we have spotty coverage and we need to have something to improve, but we had done no research or had no input as to what. And I didn't get it back after I said we really didn't gear to one thing. So I think it's still left in the open, that's how I feel. But I think pushing the gentleman to have the one-on-one, if he's got the Motorola guy, may answer a few more questions, may not. I mean, you guys know way more than I do. When the phone works, I just want it to work.
Well, I think that's the end goal of all the phones.
Right.
So
And the AED has to stay with Verizon, it's a single.
that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I thought
So
the
the fire department would have to stay because of the AEDs and the communication, that's a single
Yeah.
Verizon use.
Verizon use, yeah.
So, I mean, and I get, I went to do I didn't call Fong, I will call Fong, because I got a deny on the credential. I'm not sure what that meant.
I'd give him a call, I have no
Yeah,
idea.
because it said your request for credentials was denied, and I'm like, bummer. But I don't know why, I just have to call him.
I'd reach out to Fong.
But,
when
you
come
know,
back in.
I did speak to, so I guess what I'm thinking is, part of me, we have cell phones now. What if, I think we talked about maybe moving the police department to AT&T, just the phone wise.
Giving them the option to do, I don't wanna mandate it, but I'd like to, if they want to go to it.
I think Naomi's saying the town phones be swapped from
Yeah,
Verizon.
so,
to AT&T.
so if you're gonna, right now you have a
Oh, I
police,
agree.
you have a fire, and you have Benji and I, and Kyle. But if you wanna try, instead of pouring all your eggs in one basket, you could try the police department part of it.
Mhm.
And as I said, fire has to stay. And then
Well, they have to stay for that line.
For the two lines,
for the
for
two
the two-
lines,
for the
yeah.
two- yeah.
But I think if we moved instead of, I'm big for not putting all my eggs in a basket anyway, so if we moved them to see if that, what that would do, does that improve? I mean, to me, a cell phone is a cell phone. We're not adding the radio component yet.
and I'm 100% behind that because you're just changing the phone provider.
Right.
That'd be like Joe Schmo going to the store, walking in, saying, "I don't like this phone anymore. I want a new one."
And I agree with that.
And that's all that we're trying to accomplish at
But
this
I think
point.
the radio, even though if we have that discussion, even with Verizon, the radio part of it, I still think is a no, just from what I'm getting.
Until March.
Until March.
Until it-
So with that being said, though, I would like to just give the opportunity to give me a date this week before we do jump. I want him to be heard as well, whether we move it or not. That's just how I feel, and I know it's up to you guys, but.
I think that's the fair thing to do, and what do we get for a contract with them? Some of these
A
phones,
year at a time,
a year at a time.
yeah. So he emailed me, I'm up, the year is up.
So we're free to jump.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't think it's fair to jump without listening to a third party, whether it changed your mind or doesn't change your mind. I think it's the opportunity, to let them, but I think taking it to the Motorola radio part is really not we can do until March. That's just my thought.
So, I guess I'll be the bad guy here. I don't, with all the irons we have in the fire here, with FirstNet, with Verizon, with R&R, with the possibility of putting in the phone gateway module. I guess I am personally not in support of that $30,000 study line at this time.
Neither am I.
I want to see what R&R has.
I want to see what that Motorola comes up with the mapping.
Completely agree.
think that's-
I completely agree.
That's probably the best, and if it's for nothing, I think that's.
But I don't want to run by the deadline, I'll say. I don't want to run by the deadline,
No.
waiting on Motorola, waiting on Verizon, waiting for
No.
all the stars to align, because I just do not feel that with, like I said, with all of the recent stuff we've had happening in the last couple months with communications improvement as an umbrella,
Yep.
the abilities out there that we have at this board level, I just don't feel that putting a $30,000 warrant article is a good idea.
Well, is the $30,000, I understand, now we talked, this warrant article this study came to us way back this summer.
Mhm.
Is $30,000 still the right number?
I
I
Well,
don't know. The other thing is, we only got one quote.
that's the other twist into this, is there's only one quote, and we
Right.
don't even know who the other people were, because it was never brought forward to us. They said, oh, 2 other people, but they never responded. Who were they? I mean, and it should have been more forthcoming as to who these other parties were.
Right.
And the request probably should have come from the board level instead of an individual department or officer.
Well, we
for the fact.
did put it under us, we did.
Well,
see
we
it.
did at this part, but I'm saying send the official
Yeah.
request out,
Yeah, because I'm sure that
because
there's
it's gonna affect not just one agency, it's gonna affect,
multiple.
multiple.
But I'm sure that there's other companies that do this.
There is, and the other thing is that part of that one that they jumped on was not the fact that they did a study in Milford, is what, that they replaced their communications center. It wasn't involved,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mac
Mac Base, it wasn't a study.
No, it was Milford Area Communications.
Yeah,
Mac Base.
Mac
yeah.
Base. It wasn't a study of their system and like what we're looking
It's
for
apples and
here.
oranges.
That's apples
So
and
having read that, the Milford study, it is available online. There is quite a bit of documentation about the radio propagate, or the antenna propagation, a lot of things in terms of the radio infrastructure side. So it's partial.
Partial, but it doesn't completely, that didn't completely cover what we're looking for on our end.
And how much is Motorola's study going to
Well-
fulfill that
Right.
when it comes?
Well, no, I think I just have to say, if it wasn't gonna be 2 weeks,
You're gonna light a
two-
fire under somebody.
Well, 2 weeks sounded nice, but 2 weeks included a partial week during the holiday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it was gonna be a month, tell me a month, don't tell me 2 and have me keep begging.
Well, I mean, the other thing
So,
is,
I'm gonna go and, we need it.
We need it, and we need
Tell
it
them
now.
they
Because
need
we're
it
gonna
now.
run out of time, as
Yeah.
he says,
And we
to
gotta
put together a
find out.
warrant article,
Yep.
and I don't wanna do that again.
No,
That's not what we're gonna do.
no, that's not our.
I think John and I had a conversation in regards to how friendly the community is for studies.
Yeah,
You know, I don't wanna go through another failure.
And then we come into a no means no.
That's what I was gonna bring up, is if we go to the voters
Mm-hmm.
and they vote it down, we're absolutely strapped. We cannot touch the radio system for a year.
yeah.
right.
Yeah, so, and I don't wanna do that.
And I think-
And on the other side of that too is I'm thinking, if it's, and I'm just throwing a number out there because I don't know, if it's $10,000
Yeah.
to make double-digit percentage improvement on this system, I'd rather spend, say, 10, 12,000 on something we know is going to supplement, rather than 30,000 on study.
Even if it came back at 30,000, I'd rather spend the $30,000 on the upgrade
On
than
it,
$30,000
yeah,
on
absolutely.
the study, and then have to spend another $30,000 or $40,000 later down the road.
Right.
So I think we're all on the same page.
I think we're all on the same page.
But we need to urge that because the year end's coming.
Yep.
Yes.
The other thing with the warrant, it's nice to, we're gonna try to finish, but there is some deadlines as far as petitions. I've been inquired by a couple of people about petition deadlines, so that's coming, but I think the push is correct, is to, you know, we need that. Does it mean, what does it mean? You know, this coverage, I think we talked about maybe a tower, extending a tower.
Could be,
I
or
don't know.
two. I mean, we don't know.
Yeah,
until
it
the
would be
study.
nice to know that going into it.
But it sounds like Motorola would be the one, would be supplying information of that in their report. Now, whether it's 100% of you need to do this X, Y, Z, I don't know. But it sounds like they would say,
Their
you know,
engineers are
this,
doing the
this,
study,
this
yeah.
tower is a little low for this propagation type thing. I think that's, I really think that's gonna come in that report,
I agree.
If we get it.
if we get it.
No, well, it's
I
gonna
think
have
we'll-
to be.
I
Right.
think
We're gonna have to move.
we're gonna
We
have
may
to
not be
hurry.
able, we may not be able to interpret all the lingo and the language at
Mm-hmm.
this board level, but
No,
hopefully we have people that can.
If not, then we'll
on
get
our roster,
somebody. Yeah,
on
we'll
our
get-
roster.
Yeah, or either that, we'll get one of these engineers to come and speak to it.
I'd asked a question a month and a half ago. Naomi, did you ever reach out to the Board of Fire Wards and ask if they'd be willing to participate in a split of money going to this radio study, if we decided to go with it?
I did not.
Okay.
But if we go with, is it versus a split, wouldn't it be our responsibility?
Yeah,
Yeah, it'd be the
If we,
town.
if we went with a warrant article, it'd be
Yeah.
us.
If we went with a
For the
warrant
town.
article, I'm talking about what if we don't go with a warrant
Well-
article? Is there extra money left over in their budgets for them to just do it and have the money come out of fire and PD?
Well,
Yeah.
you have an opportunity, as you did tonight. I mean, you have an opportunity if,
But we
you
can't
know-
do anything this fiscal year. I'm talking about for
You'd have
2021.
you'd have to earmark it.
you'd have to encumber it.
plus
or-
the other fact is that we can't just take that money unless it's outside.
Well, it'd
the-
have to be PO'd for something. It can't just be
They'd have to get
on
an
a whim.
RFP from other companies. We only got one quote. We don't even know if the other
We don't have
companies,
enough room.
yeah.
Right.
The stars all have to align,
They
and,
have-
Oh, you,
and
yes, they
right
do.
now, we're not
Yeah, they're
aligning
not aligned up.
quite yet.
Yeah.
We need to align, but I think, I didn't ask that question, but and I'll be happy to ask, and I shouldn't have done that, but I think it's more our responsibility for safety versus half and half.
Right.
You know, you could overrun something, you know, like and why I said to you, see, I was the same way, just keep dropping down, I keep sweating and fogging up, you know, I don't know when you're gonna get FEMA or Gopher. It is gonna be 100%, but it may be something we have to carry
Yep.
as a receivable type of a thing. I mean, I can throw it out there. I know they hadn't met a couple of times because of quorum, but I can send an email and ask them to bring it up.
Yeah, I'd like to see if if they would entertain the idea.
But if we aren't gonna change the fire department from Verizon, why would they wanna spend their money?
Because the radios are still crap, regardless of what the cell phones are. And the cell phones aren't meant to be a replacement. It's just a supplemental when the radios don't work.
Some form of communication.
Yeah.
Can broach the subject with them.
Well, no,
See what
it
they
doesn't do
say.
any harm. I just, yeah.
Or are they just not interested at all?
Well, you'd hope that they would be interested, because,
Well, I think we're all waiting to see A, what the map
Yeah.
looks like, and B, you know, the map, I think, is gonna tell us a huge story.
Yep.
You know, because right now, you know, AT&T's got coverage, Verizon's got coverage, Sprint, I guess you don't worry about,
US
but,
Cellular's
you know,
got
US
coverage,
Cellular's
yeah.
got some coverage. I think the map is the crucial part right now, and we need it
Yep.
within the next week or two.
Mm-hmm. I would agree.
Because it's running out of time, you got holidays coming and everything else, and we've got other things to do as well. But it's only fair, it's been 2
Yep.
weeks now.
Yep.
I think it's been third week.
I think it's third week.
We're in the
Since we
third,
said
we're
it
in the
was gonna be
third
2
week,
weeks.
2.5 weeks, so,
Mhm.
because of the holidays.
All right, so I'll get on that. Other than that, I do need to have a non-public under A and C at the end of the evening.
Okay.
Um,
Can we go back to 4 real quick, the Verizon, can we try to narrow that down, just so we
Yeah.
can move forward?
Even
well, I
if it's
wanted
not
to
meeting
do it
night?
this, what?
Even if it's not meeting night?
No, I
Might
asked
go
him
Zoom
for,
meeting.
I asked him tonight if he could give me some dates, because I was meeting tonight.
Yep.
He wanted to make the connections with everybody, but I can connect with you guys via email.
Yep.
And just pick a night, and I was gonna do it with Zoom anyway, just
okay.
as a work session, but I would post, anybody that's interested, so.
Okay.
But I wanna do it an off night, yeah, of course.
It's fine.
Do you want to, we said 2 weeks ago that we would talk about the cemetery conditions. I know Sherry had spent some time out there, John had spent some time before, is that something you wanna discuss now, or what would you like to do?
I went by some of them too. I think the bottom line of it is that we know that it's failed in their contract. I think we ought to call them in and just have that discussion, tell them, you know, we're going to cancel the contract
Well, I
and
think,
find
I think
somebody
we need to have
else.
some explanation as
And
to
have the
why we went
explanation why.
downhill.
Yeah, see why. And then give them, you know,
Because now, as John and I had talked, snow cover is not gonna dry off or anything,
no,
but the snow, it should have been done before snow
that's
cover.
no question about it. They had a timeline to get it done and it didn't
Right.
even come close.
Right, because it was supposed to be
Let's hear
done.
what they have to say before we make any decision.
Okay, so you want me to invite them in
Next week.
Next week.
Next week.
Okay. Okay, we can do that.
I have just one thing before we go non-public.
I'm all set, if you
You're all
guys.
set?
Is that okay? So the next one will be correspondence or other business. Okay, Sherry.
Yeah, I've had several people ask me if the town was gonna put a tree in the new gazebo.
A what?
A tree, a Christmas tree, and light it. And I said it would probably end up in Parks and Rec's hands, because I don't, we'd have to go, they'd have to go get a tree, and then they'd have to go buy lights. And it wouldn't be
Have we done that in the past?
it used to be, we used to do it every year. Yeah, for years.
We
it
as
was.
Who
in
did
Board
it?
of Selectmen, or we as in Park?
No,
we as
I
in
think,
Historical Society?
No, not the Historical Society over there. I think it was, I wanna say, it was either the Garden Club or Parks and Recs. But I think it might have been Park and Rec years ago. But
You're gonna have
they
to go
always-
get a big tree, though, that's a
You
big,
would have to, now, because that's even bigger, you would have to get a live tree, because like I said, I had.
Then you run the risk of live tree with electrical in in one of the buildings that you could not, you might be outside the fire code for that.
I don't think so.
Kid
They'll
runs
have to
by,
put a-
kid runs by, knocks on it, and next thing you know, oof.
Yeah, it's melted. That doesn't burn, it'll melt.
I mean, just
But I
about
mean, I
every
think
town
this-
has got a tree lighted up or an area lighted. I mean, look at Goffstown.
Well, I mean, it's one thing to have lights outside, but you're putting it inside a structure, that's when you run into some of the
Well, I mean,
codes.
they do it in New Boston, they do it I mean, I don't know. It's
don't know.
a question that's been asked. I
Okay.
thought it would be nice. I mean,
Well, I think
guess
it would be
you could
nice,
put the
absolutely.
tree Up by the gazebo if you're worried about the gazebo, but it's insured. If it burns down, the town's got insurance.
I don't wanna go through that again.
I don't know if we meet our deductible, would we?
Okay, well, I guess we'll
Um,
look into it.
Yeah, I guess we could look into it, yeah, it doesn't hurt.
I'm gonna have to look into it quickly because.
Yes, very
otherwise
quickly.
it's not gonna be any good if you're not gonna.
Well,
have
Parks and Rec have got a meeting tomorrow night, so it can be broached, why don't you go and broach it to them? Parks and Rec has a meeting
Our
tomorrow
ex
night.
officios are over there.
Oh, the ex
I'm not gonna
officio.
be there tomorrow.
no.
I bet you know people that will be there.
Mhm.
I bet you can
So there you
forward
go.
that message
Do you want
along.
me to just forward it to
But,
Sure.
them and
yeah,
just
why don't
ask?
you
Yeah,
forward
see what they wanna
it?
do.
Because if they wanna do it, that really should be up this weekend. Otherwise, it's pretty
It's almost beyond the
ridiculous.
point.
I mean, it's getting later every,
Haven't even got mine up yet, so
I'm not putting one
I'll get mine this week.
up.
I heard you lost out on your inflatables.
No, I didn't lose out on them. I just haven't put them up yet.
War on Quaker Street, gonna love that.
No, it's no war. I just,
I don't have any,
I don't have anything else.
didn't get into
I
it.
hated to bring it up even, but.
Okay,
Okay.
then, other than that, I guess we will go into, good evening,
Good evening.
good evening,
Oh.
good evening.
Thank you. We've already done that. We already crossed that bridge.
Yep, so we're gonna go into non-public under RSA 91A, :3, Roman numeral 2, A and C. Do I have a second? All those in favor? Yes. Yes. And then we will be adjourning after that. And good night, everybody.